Okay? I mean, hey, listen, before I bring Angelo on, I want to set this up. The debate on whether or not to sit Barkley for the record or not, that's not my. You can really see both sides of it. But here's my problem. You see Dan Quinn play on Monday night. They had nothing to play for. Nothing. And he had a meaningful game like he does on Sunday on a short work week. You know what he did? He looked at his players and said, we got unfinished business with San Francisco. We have unfinished business. They beat us in the NFC title game. I want their ass. And what if someone gets hurt? Well, I mean, hey, it's called football. That guy's mentality has a winner's mentality. And I'll tell you why. You know what a winner's mentality is? If you don't want to pay a price for being great and you don't want to pay that extra price for greatness, greatness comes with risk. It comes with risk. You know why that 17 team could wipe the floor with this 24 team and that 22 team? They had balls. Lose your MVP, lose Jason Peters, lose a linebacker. You know what they said? I don't care. We're going to go win it. And they didn't beat Tom Coughlin and Eli. They beat Belichick and Brady with that mentality. This is more of a philosophical way. I look at Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman. You know what I say about them? They don't have a championships mentality. They can win a lot of games. They won't do that last bit of risk. Guy who risked over 40 years. And I think he had an FU mentality to people too. And this is why I think I love him. Absolutely. Make sure you check out his great blog because Angelo, he says he's slowed down. I don't know, man. I see a lot of the old Inquirer in him, in his blog, okay? Let's bring on Angelo Cataldi here. Hope you had a great new year, Angelo. Let's bring on Angelo Cataldi now if we can. And everything. I appreciate you so much, Angelo. I hope you had a great holiday.
I sure did. It was my 25th wedding anniversary.
Wow.
I think I'm getting my wife, instead of a ring or something silver, I'm just getting her a trophy for surviving 25 years with the crap I've thrown around here. It's unbelievable. God bless that woman. But yeah, I had a great holiday, although I must say that this whole Saquon situation this week has frustrated the heck out of me. It's two stories. One is the wimpiness of the upper brass of the Philadelphia Eagles not letting history happen. And the second thing is the reaction in this city, the media, and a lot of the fans now, Dan, who are embracing safety over legacy. And it's just so frustrating to me. I went yesterday. I went to a rehearsal. I was one of the panelists for a rehearsal for the new Jason Kelce ESPN late night show. And it was Kelce there, and it was Todd Herman's, and it was Ike Reese. Who doesn't belong there? Me. They were all football players. I was just there because I talked. And the thing is, there was full agreement that they should play the players on Sunday. And at one point I went, we were talking about Dan Campbell of the Lions, and he was playing for nothing last Sunday. The big game is this Sunday. He should have rested all his players if you use this mentality, and he played all the players. And it was like, and I said, if Dan Campbell were the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, he would be a god in this city. And there was a huge, you should have heard the reaction, all the people cheering. And it's like, no, not everybody is a wimp in Philadelphia anymore. They understand. You said it. With risk, that to be great, you need to take risk. And if he got hurt, he got hurt. Go on without him. Next man up. Then we always told that. That's how it's done here. I'm just frustrated beyond words. Even in retirement, Dan, at the biggest bunch of pussies in this city now, compared to even 10 years ago, before there was load management, before there were pitch counts and all the bull crap that's going on in this town. And if Philadelphia is embracing a wimpy approach, there's no hope for the rest of the country.
I got to tell you this too, Angelo, that this bugs me a lot about another part of this thing here. You know, when I hear Nick come back and that bullshit that he said, where he asked the players and he asked the parking lot attendant, the Slurpee machine guy, and then he goes and talks to his father, and then he starts bringing Mr. Laurie. I mean, I was told my grandpa raised me, my Italian grandfather raised me. When you talk to another man, you talk to him like a man. You don't talk to him like he's your father. And to me, that sets a tone where you're a subservient guy talking to your owner instead of saying this, well, I'm going to do what's best for my team. Okay. The owner told the head coach what's best for his team. Exactly. Instead of sticking up, I now know that guy does not stick up for anything. And Angelo, if you don't stick up for things, you'll fall for everything.
But
and that's what that is.
Yes, men don't stand for anything. They just stand for survival in their job, Dan. Dan, the thing was, and you're 100% right, whether you're saying it as speculation or saying it as fact, Jeff Lurie made this decision.
Oh, yeah.
No one else. Jeff Lurie made it. And the minute he said, we're going to rest these guys so they're ready for the playoffs, there was like dominoes. Howie Roseman, yeah, you're right, boss. And then here comes Sirianni. Absolutely. And you're right. All right. If you're going to do that, that's fine.
Right.
But don't perpetrate this fraud that you're doing. You're canvassing everybody in the organization on what to do. You canvass one person, the owner. That's all this other stuff. They weren't asking anything. And if they were, it didn't matter. There was only one vote that mattered, was Lurie. And it demonstrates Lurie's lack of connection, both to the embodiment of his fan base and to the very psychology of what we are in a blue-collar town like Philadelphia. We don't take days off. We don't load manage or pitch count. We go out there and play. It's called a player, not a sitter. And you're on the brink of what Jason Kelsey said yesterday. He said, let me tell you, as a lineman, there are lots of great records. But to me personally, this is Jason Kelsey talking, there's no greater tribute to an offensive line than to have the all-time leading single-season rusher. Said that is the number one achievement, not just of Barkley, but of those guys in front of him. And they denied all that. They denied all that in a fear that somehow Barkley would get injured Sunday and getting 101 yards. It's just, that's why he did the 2,000 yards last Sunday. Yep. He was willing to risk that to get to that milestone and go, well, that's enough. Once he got to 2,000, got Barkley out of the game, and then he plays this game for the next week. I wrote on Monday before anything was decided, I said, there's not a damn chance in hell that Barkley's going to be playing on next Sunday. There's not a chance. They're not going to do it. And it's not even Sirianni. It's the owner.
Let me say this to you, Angelo. What I don't like also is, so you got an owner telling me what I should be accepting and what's for me, that the 2,000 rushing club is good enough for you. And yet you're telling me and trying to say to me that I can't make my footprint in history. Barkley even came out and said that he's down over it, that he's not going to have the opportunity to do it. But Angelo, here's what I had a problem with. So then all of a sudden, you tell me if I'm wrong here on this, because you know this man way longer than me. I had a problem with Lane Johnson going and being a company guy and getting the walking orders and the talking points from Bob Lang, where on Sunday and Mulata and all those guys were wanting to go for the record. Then all of a sudden, Bob comes in with his half-mask outfit, and he does all of his Philadelphia media. I'll tell you what, they have cleaned the Philadelphia media up so much, they don't resemble themselves any longer.
It's awful. It's awful. You're 100% right. What bothers me the most is this. This is at the very root of the dishonesty of the Philadelphia Eagles organization, all right? The owner made a decision. He's not the only owner who does that. Owners sometimes wield their financial heft. They do it. Why can't you be honest?
Right.
We'll never be told. There will never, when when Lurie deigns to speak publicly again, God knows when, he will say it was all Nick's decision. He doesn't get, but it's all bullshit. We all know it is. He doesn't have enough respect for the fan base to at least acknowledge, I'm the one that pays the bills. I'm the billionaire. I decided I wanted to make sure everybody was healthy for the playoffs. It was my decision. Would there be any crime in being honest?
No.
Well, why do they have to put on this charade every year that Sirianni has power that he doesn't have?
Because they're not honest people.
Yes, exactly. And they don't respect the fans. See, the fans, even though they've got a lot of fans now, so a lot of fans are in favor of this. Good, I respect that. You have every right to feel if all that matters is winning the Super Bowl. Great, that's fine. But don't lie about it. Just be honest about it. Can you at least be respectful of these people that have made you a billionaire? You have to lie? Why?
I'm with you on this here. We had a guy bring a point up yesterday on our program, and I loved it too. My guy Philly brought this up, and I'm going to ask you, Angelo. He said that he believed, and I kind of bought into it. I think they're synonymous with one another, the record and the Super Bowl. I think they're tied in together, because if you're going to have a mentality where you're going to go for that record, and then Angelo, if you're going to go for the record, then if you can't get the record, how are you going to go for the Super Bowl championship? They're all tough things. They're not going to be handed to you. So to me, don't you do a little bit of a disservice to the attitude and the mentality that it's going to take to win that Super Bowl by being safe and not going for this?
I am not going to make any more predictions because of my preseason prediction, which was a catastrophe. But let me just say, if you want to reverse the karma on a 13-3 season, I can't think of a faster way to do it than to basically deny that team a chance to make history. Look, Dan, what are the odds that he would get hurt? 1 in 20?
Right.
I mean, he just played 16 games. I didn't even see him get dinged the whole year. But now we got to worry because it's 17th game. Why can't you do both? Why can't you set the all-time record? Put your team in an amazing psychological advantage going into the first playoff game the following week. Why do you have to remove that? Now you're not. Hurts isn't going to have played for a month, right?
Yeah.
Barkley a couple of weeks. All these other guys a couple of weeks. And you know what, Dan? I'm not predicting it, but it won't shock me if they're one and done. It won't shock me. Because they have set that into motion with this wimpy decision.
Absolutely here. And here, Angelo, help me out on the history of this. The most accomplished team in Philadelphia Eagle history in the Super Bowl era, not the 60 team, but the 17 team is the most accomplished team. Would you agree that the most remembered team, the most memorable team, the team that's talked about? Hell, I turn on television sets and I see 99 and 92 jerseys and 12 jerseys all the time in those stands. Is not gangrene. And the reason that was memorable is because of the style of play, how they played, how those players' personalities were, what they fought for. So when you have something like a 2105 in front of you, and by the way, I was in the league at the time, that is one of the most revered records there is for an O-line coach. The defense feels part of it by getting the 3 and outs, so the offense can get the carries for the run. It's a whole team award there that you're talking about accomplishing something very few teams have ever been in a position to do. Don't you want to be a memorable team in Eagle history?
2017 is the greatest Eagle team of all time because it's the only one to win a Super Bowl. It's harder to win a championship now than even the 60 team or the teams in the 40s that won it. So, yeah, the Eagles of 2017 are the most accomplished team in our lifetime. Furthermore, they did it by being bold and fearless. They made decisions. This is Doug Peterson, his second year, going for it on 4th down in spots nobody was doing it because he believed in his team and himself. Gadget play against the greatest coach of all time in the Super Bowl before the half. They did things that were gutsy, that were bold, and they won it all because they got behind a backup quarterback who refused to lose. Nick Foles playing the greatest football of his life. That is great. That is the true essence of greatness. Being willing to take the tough risks in the big moments. If they had signed up, if they in 2017, just picture this. Foles is coming to the sideline and he goes to Doug Peterson, Philly. And Peterson goes, hold on, let me call up to the owner's box and see if Jeff Lurie wants us to try a gadget play in this moment. Jeff, no, just run into the line. Okay. So Jeff wouldn't have signed off on any of that stuff because he is a wimp. And he's just proven it with this decision. And Dan, I don't want it to happen because I want the Eagles to have a parade this year. But I have a bad feeling that this is going to change what happens the following week. I really believe that. And I hope I'm wrong. God knows I was totally wrong at the beginning of the year. But I hate that they made this decision. And I hate that there wasn't a massive backlash in the city from the media and the fans saying, no, this is Philly. We don't do that. Go out there and set the record.
Angelo, tell me, I listened to Nick today, and let me ask you something. How many people are in those scrums that are in front of Nick usually? About 20 people that are usually in front of him. Now, one person had the balls to go, hey, did you hear Barkley and some of the backlash from the players and some of the former players and people around the league saying that the Eagles could go for it? Not one question asked about it. It was asked about the protocol with Hurts and other things. It was 10 minutes of a food salad and a word salad that made absolutely no sense. I could not believe nobody followed up on the biggest story going into this with one of the biggest. Angelo, I think that is the gateway to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
What you're doing right now is a gateway in mentality. If you're afraid of that, you're afraid of everything.
Well, at this rehearsal yesterday, so Jason Kelce brings up the Saquon Barkley thing, and he comes to me first. And I go, come on. No, I would play these guys. And he looks at me and he goes, I knew you were going to say that. And I said to him, thank you. Because to me, when you tell me that I stand for taking the bold stand, for playing with balls, I accept that as a compliment. All right. Because that's the way the city was when I started at WIP 37 years ago. It was take no prisoners, fear nothing. We just lost another baseball season because the manager took out a guy throwing a one-hitter with 110 pitch count, right? We got a basketball team that's 6 games under 500 because their star player has basically been managing his knee instead of anything else. This is getting ridiculous in our town, and there's nobody going up to the top of the mountain and screaming. And honestly, somebody's got to have enough balls to be what Philadelphia still is.
I'm the only guy doing it. I'm the only guy doing it, and I get criticized.
In Philadelphia.
Hey, and I get criticized for it. You're right. And I'm watching this, and I grew up listening to you because IP came all the way up to my city in Stanford, and I heard you all those years talking the way you did. And now when I say something, I can't believe that people have backlash on having balls. That'd be like this, Angelo. A guy is working on a roof. He's going to call his boss and say, hey, look, 95 has got ice on it. I'm not going to show up to work today because I'm afraid I may slide off the road and I may end up getting hurt. So I'm not going to go to work. You think there's anybody in Philly, the people that listen to you all them years, had that mentality? Absolutely not. They had that mentality.
40 and older, they don't have no. 40 and older, they're still part of the way we think. Younger now, I'm telling you. What's his name? Mike Sealski wrote a column in the Inquirer making the argument for playing the players. I'm not even sure he was convinced of it. He did a lot of disclaiming in it. So I read the column. It was fine. And then I went to the comments because I wanted to see if the fans were going to go, finally, somebody in Philadelphia has done that, has finally taken the right stand, the stand that represents the fans. Dan, the first 6 comments were all saying, no, 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 don't take a chance. And I went, oh, Jesus, where is my city? Where did it go? Where is it? Chuck Bednarik actually did a 180 in his grave when he heard this crap. Chuck Bednarik's fingers they were all crooked. He broke them all.
I can't.
Right? And he just snapped back in and went back to play. And now we can't play them when they're healthy to set an all-time record.
I can't believe it either. I just can't believe that. I'm more disappointed in the fans than I am in the decision.
Well,
to be honest,
the younger fans, they have grown up on pitch counts and load management. They have been rebooted. Their brains have been rebooted. To be afraid of everything. I always fear the next thing. And it's like, didn't you see 17 and how bold they were in winning a championship? You didn't learn from that. The owner didn't learn from that. No one learned from it, Dan. They're all afraid of their own shadow in this town. It's annoying as hell. Man, people under 40, grow up here.
Angelo, let me ask you about this one here. So I said this about Hurts and the protocol. Now, this is something that the owner and the organization can't manipulate because it's a neurologist.
Yeah.
So I would say this because it's, you get your own opinion. Then you got the league that's involved with the Players Association involved with this. He's now in the second week of the protocol. I'm assuming that this is serious because, I saw Josh Allen a week prior. They thought he might have a concussion. They cleared him right away on the sidelines. He went into tent. Neurologist looked at him. They put him back in. He's still in it. Okay, let's say that he comes out of it next week. This will be almost all of Washington. This will be last week. This will be this week. And he's going into his 4th week. Any concern, plus with the attitude, bet your quarterback, again, and look at this year, 2903 in passing yards. They really never got a rhythm this year in the passing game, except for Pittsburgh, really. So are you concerned at all about them heading into a playoff game against Washington or possibly Green Bay, that the quarterback is going to be, again, a little rusty heading into that game?
Well, I'm very concerned you're going to be rusty. I still need him to at least clear protocol so you don't have to worry that he's going to be available. Because, frankly, Kenny Pickett is not going to get it done. He's going to face either the Packers or the Commanders, and I don't like the Eagles' chances against either team with Kenny Pickett there. So he has to be ready. I assume, since it hasn't been a big deal yet, that everybody's confident he'll get cleared by the time that playoff game has been. But yes, he's going to be rusty because he will not have played for almost a month. And you don't just step back in. We've seen it by the fact that the Eagles don't play the starters in the preseason. Do they come out in the first game and look good right away? No. So are you willing to sacrifice the first quarter of the playoff game because you know it's going to take them that long to get back into some kind of a rhythm? No, it is a serious situation. I think they might have gotten a clearing of protocol. I think they may not have asked for it. All right. They might have gotten it for Sunday. They don't want it for Sunday. They want a good excuse not to play Hurts on Sunday. Well, he didn't clear we couldn't have played him even if we wanted to. I assume he'll clear. I assume they'll get him as ready as possible. And I assume the Eagles will have no points at the end of the first quarter in the playoff game, the first one.
And by the way,
rusty.
To your point, I mean, they've been the worst first quarter team anyway. Yeah. Now with the guy not playing a month, I mean, you're looking at what could be a disaster heading into that playoffs. Angelo, I got 2 questions on Nick and on Howie. So tell me how you think this is going to be handled. Howie Roseman, there is a little bit of a comment that's being made in New York about potentially at the end of the 25 season when his contract is up, that the New York Jets would make a play for him. You know, he's always coveted wanting to go back to New York and be the general manager of that team. Right. Well, Woody Johnson, that's a far cry from the one thing that Jeffrey Lurie does right. He puts the bag of money up front. They're able to manipulate the cap, do things that Woody Johnson, the Band-Aid guy, doesn't really like to do. So all that being said, Do you think they address Howie in the offseason here? Because here's a guy here, and you got Julian in the background who's right there just about ready to take the reins as GM. If you're Howie, do you want to become a Theo Epstein and end the curse like he did in Boston and in Chicago and go to New York and go, Jet fans, give me a blank check. I'll come in there. You give me autonomy on the salary cap. I'll deliver his championship for you, the first one since Joe Namath. Does he do that?
I'm not ruling it out, and I'm going to tell you why. None of the reasons you said. He's been a yes man for all these years. But by now, especially because he's the hero of this whole season, he put this incredible. He brought all these people together. He recreated the karma that they had 2 years ago when they made it to the Super Bowl. Howie is the number one hero of this season, even more than Barkley, because no one wanted Barkley, and he gave him the money and got him here. Howie, now, if you were doing nothing but having to say yes to a billionaire, especially a clueless one like Jeff Lurie, wouldn't you love the opportunity?
Yeah.
With the leverage he would have, he would go in there and he would have to say to them, and I think he would. He's a smart guy. Woody, I'll do it. I'm the president. I'm totally in charge. You're staying the hell out of it. I'll do it. I wouldn't rule. Why would you rule that out?
I would want to see what my value was.
Yeah. I believe, especially with his New York roots, it is a concern. It's a risk. Now, he'll get to decide that. Really, the Eagles should preempt it and give him a huge offer in this offseason. All these multi-million dollar contracts he's given to players. Nobody's more valuable right now to the Eagles than Howie Roseman. He deserves a monster deal. He deserves to be the highest paid general manager in the National Football League, if not in all of sports. He is regarded as one of the true great GMs in sports right now. And they're going to if they let it go to the last year, he's got to listen.
Man, that's a great thing.
Would you want to talk to Lurie every friggin' day?
No. And what you just said, make me the highest paid general manager, all four sports, and give me complete autonomy of the New York Jets. How do you not take that?
I think it would be very, very appetizing for Howie. He's still young, and he's still got plenty of time to go over to New York and be a hero there. So, yeah, I think it is a possibility. And I think if it is, you can blame the owner again, because the owner, once again, is convinced that he's the brains of the operation. And I can tell you, he is not the brains of any operation. He won the gene pool. That's how he got to this spot.
Yeah. Okay, now let's go to the other one here. At the end of the 2025 season, Nick Sirianni's contract is up.
Yeah.
Here's a guy that's been to 4 playoffs. If they get in and they do anything here, there's no question. You've got to look at a guy with one of the top winning percentages. And you and I, it's funny. You and I see the record and we go, that ain't him. I don't know. It's like looking at Sam Darnold. It's somebody said yesterday here, that's not Sam Darnold. That's Tom Brady in witness protection up there in Minnesota. Okay, that's who that is. When I look at Nick, it's not that guy. How do you believe? And they have replaced every winning coach since 2000. Every coach, including Chip, has had a winning record. They look at themselves and their system more than they look at the coach. You tell me how you think they'll handle this guy in the offseason. Do they let him go in like Mike McCarthy as a lame duck coach? Because his deal's up at the end of 25.
They know he's not that good. They're around him every day. Lurie knows that all the big decisions are made by him and Howie. So I can't imagine. I wonder what's going to happen if Fangio gets an NFL job offer this offseason. If it was me, I'd go, I could be honest, Fangio did a hell of a lot more than Sirianni did this year, right?
Completely.
Sirianni, to me, you want hollow records. You want records that represent nothing. You look at his career numbers. I'm telling you, this guy is not smart. He is not good in the moment. The guy picked a fight with Zach Ertz after the Commanders game. The guy picked a fight with one of the true class acts in American sports. His wife is a soccer hero. He is one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. And our jackass coach got into an argument with him, and Big Dom had to separate him on the field after the game. This guy is a knucklehead. Do you understand? And I wouldn't. I know I'm an idiot myself. I know. I just got to say it. If they won a Super Bowl, I'd fire them. I'd be the first team in history.
Wait, a Pedro Gomez? You're gonna do a Gomez deal on him?
I would go, you know what? We won it, but we didn't win it because of this jackass. He's gone. I'm gonna name Fangio or Kellen Moore. I'm gonna name them the head coach because they did a hell of a lot more. And he can go and he'll get a big offer somewhere. They'll go, oh my God, this guy's a champion. He's a winner. And then he'll never win again. I hate Sirianni. I can't stand when Jason Kelce said to me yesterday, Dan Campbell, he just mentioned Dan Campbell. And I went, wow, now that's a coach I could love. That's a coach I could embrace. A guy who's not afraid. A guy who would tell Jeff Lurie to go to hell if Lurie tried to tell him whether he's going to play his players. Dan Campbell, to me, is a coach.
Yep.
Nick Sirianni is a fake.
He's a puppet. He's a puppet.
He's a puppet. He's a yes man, and those numbers represent nothing to me. Nothing.
Angelo, I got to give you a lot of credit, man. Because I believe you and me have a sandbox of a very few friends that are in the business because, you know, we have to say some critical things at times and people get bent. Last week, he came on my program and you said something about Howard Eskin. And now all of a sudden, everybody, the Philadelphia Inquirer, Crossing Broad, all that, everybody now is reporting what you said, that there was an issue over there. I mean, do you think Howard's legacy has been hurt a lot? Because again, here's how I saw him. Here's how I saw Howard Eskin, Angelo. You obviously at the top of the pinnacle there. You and him kind of built that station. And there was another gentleman, I believe, in the middays or mid-mornings that you guys had on your station who passed away, I believe, in the 2000s. And he was in that mix there. Tony Bruno was in there, but it was really you and Howard. And I always looked at them as the guys who kind of like, I looked at you two guys, and that's how I wanted to do it. And I thought he was one of the godfathers of really building sports talk radio. And now I see some of the things that have gone on in his career. And look, I mean, I've got dents in the fender too. I get it. I understand you're on long enough, right? You're going to have dents in the fender, Angelo. I mean, how do you look at his legacy now after all these years? Steve Fredericks, that's right.
Steve Fredericks was a tremendous talk show host as well. Howard was a great talk show host for a long time. He stayed too long, right? I mean, that's clear. That was clear when he didn't have his drive time job, 12, 15 years ago. He loved the job. Even after he had to resign last week, he showed up at the game. He tried to get in. He's trying to go to the note. He loves it. It's his life. So part of me feels sad about him.
Yeah, me too.
The story was not correct. You understand? He did not get fired. He did not get forced to resign because of shouting at a woman executive from the Odyssey. He got fired because he made physical contact with her 3 times. He grabbed her arms. She asked him after the first time he grabbed her not to do that anymore. And in his moment, he was just upset because he was under instructions to get Brandon Graham out of Chickies and Pete's, and he grabbed her, and she said, "Don't touch me." And he grabbed her again, but he was just in the moment, and that's what ended it for him. It wasn't that he shouted at her. Shouting would not get him fired. So that's the real story. It's everywhere. The fact that it hasn't been in the media is mind-boggling. It's everywhere. There were dozens of witnesses to this. Dozens, Dan. And no one reported the real story yet. That story that ran yesterday, it took them 11 days to get half the story. Yeah. It wasn't that hard to get. I got it, and I'm retired.
No, this is what I posted, Angelo. I said Angelo wouldn't go into detail, but there was another incident. That's how I put it, that there was out there because that's how you presented it. And I said, and get this, they let it, you said that on the 23rd on my show. Yesterday that came out, and I was like, holy cow, why are they so late to this? And now that you're telling me this reminds me of the Marcus Hayes story in some way, that they're giving you these crazy fluff stories, like they're not giving you the truth and how they're covering these things. That is an A1 story that Howard Eskin had a physical confrontation with somebody, and that was the reason that it's not a shouting match.
It was not sexual. It was not threatening.
No.
He was just trying. He had gotten word from Jeff Lurie, the owner, to get Graham out of there because Graham had said that there was some issues. He acknowledged that there were a little bit of a problem between A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts, and get him out. He said too much already. Get him out of the building. And Howard was just trying to follow the instructions of the owner of the Eagles, Jeff Lurie. And that's how the whole thing evolved.
Wait a minute, Angelo. Wait a minute. So this whole thing then goes back to when Brandon Graham had to walk back those comments about Jalen Hurts, and all those things that were said, and then he had to come out and apologize, and have that conversation with Jalen. And so this was Bob Lang and Jeffrey Lurie cleanup, and get him out of that location that they were at. And Howard thought he was doing him a favor.
Brandon lives right near Hurts. They're pretty close. He knew what was going on between Hurts and Brown, right? He went on the air and he did what he's done his 16 years of career. He told the truth. God forbid that should happen in the Eagles organization. Lurie heard it and either directly or indirectly got the word to Howard, please get Brandon out of the building entirely. As if we got to talk to him. He can't be saying this stuff. It's bad for the team.
What was the name of the place again, Angelo?
Ricky's and Pete's in South Philadelphia.
Hey.
It happened in front of many people. Many people. They were there to see it. They know what happened. They know that he was frazzled. He said, Brandon's got to leave now. He can't leave. He's got to sign autographs. He's still got to do part of his deal of going to Chickies and Pete's to do a show on Monday nights. He can't leave now. No, you don't understand. He's got to leave. This is above our pay grade. We got to get him out of here. Well, no, he's not going. And then Howard didn't know what to do at that point, and he grabbed her by the arm, not to hurt her, not in a menacing way, just in a frustrating, and then she said, don't touch me, and then he touched her again. And that's what set the whole thing into motion. And that's why ultimately it took 11 days. They came to an agreement that he would resign. That's what actually happened. And I was not the witness that day, but I heard this 5 times from people so far in 11 days, and the Inquirer still can't get the story. That's the real story.
What I don't understand is, okay, there's 2 parts to this then. This really was Brandon Graham speaking his mind about Hurts. Honestly. And the relationship, and being honest that him and AJ have an issue. And then the owner came scooping in saying, get him out of this restaurant here because he's talking too much. And Howard was trying to get him out of there. And all of a sudden now, Howard's the bad guy in this, not trying to do anything crazy, but he was frazzled, like you said. And all of a sudden now, he's been used as the scapegoat in this whole story with Brandon Graham and Jalen Hurts and that A.J. Brown. Boy, I'll tell you, like you said, Angelo, this ownership, man, there's nothing that's too little and petty that they don't go in on.
So Howard was doing their bidding, all right? He was trying to help them because they were telling him, get him out of there. And then 2 weeks later, they wouldn't even let Howard into the game, the same team that he was trying to help. So yeah, there's a way to look at this like Howard's a victim. I mean, give me a break. Whose side are you on here? One day you're on Howard's side, the next day you're on the other side. I don't know. Howard was just trying to stop the issue from becoming bigger because Brandon Graham was speaking too much, and he was under instructions to get him out of there. And I guess that the woman felt he was overzealous, and she complained about it, and that was the end of the line for Howard. But the honesty issue is the real issue. Graham was telling his truth on his radio show, and the Eagles went, "He's being honest? Get him out of there. What is he doing? He's being, we do not tell our fans the truth."
Wow.
That's the fact. That's
How
the
in
real
the world,
story.
then, don't you come to the conclusion this week on how this Barkley story was handled by the owner? If he's that freaking petty over what Graham is saying at some restaurant on a 30-minute radio show, he's totally going to be ass deep in this here. And really, I'll tell you, Angelo, I said this, the Eagles have a winning mentality. They don't have a championship mentality.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. But this Barkley thing's going to bite him in the ass. That's what I see. Because you can't whip out in Philadelphia. It doesn't work.
Angelo, man, you bring it. Holy cow. Hey, by the way, I may ask you this. Would you be talking about this on your show?
Wow. I mean, be talking about it.
Wait a minute. Let me apologize. Okay. I'm sorry.
Here's the thing. I would talk about it until I was suspended because the people want to talk about it. Everywhere I've gone, Dan, and I've been moving around a little bit this week, everybody is talking about Barkley. They're talking about Howard. And if they're talking about it, I have to talk about it. That's my job. So, yeah, it could have gotten a little dicey at WIP, but those days are over.
Angelo, tell folks where they can find the audio of the book. Holy shit, you're going to have another book coming up, man. You have to, because you got to write a book on
more books.
Wait, no, you got to write a book on the Philly sports media, because you have to write on what you have covered and seen in media, because media has changed since Watergate, and it now has changed since Trump has been in the White House. I'd like to hear that book one day. Tell them where the blog is. Tell them how people can find you.
I don't know that I'm going to write the book, but I do like one-word titles, and the title would be bullshit with an exclamation point. That would be the title. But it's at AngeloCataldi.com. I write every week. Just go to blogs. I write all my opinions that week of whatever happened with the Eagles and any other sports things that are going on. And the book is also available at Amazon. You can get it in an audiobook too. It's called Loud. And Dan, it's always a pleasure. And congratulations, nominated for the Florida Sports Hall of Fame. I hope you get in, because you'll have to give a long speech. I had to do one this week.
Thank you so much, Angelo. And thank you for your support too. I got, a lot of people. And I found out, today's my birthday, and I found out that, this morning I had this, and they sent this to me that I've been nominated. So it's pretty cool. Angelo, thank you, my friend. My relationship with you means so much. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Happy birthday, too. Happy birthday. Dan is 39 today. Wow.
Thank you, Angelo. I appreciate him, man. Absolutely. Wow. The story, as I reported it, was true. A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts don't like one another. And Brandon Graham. Xander, what's the name of this place, Pete's? Because I'm going to tweet this story when I take the time out. This is big. Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown have a problem. Brandon Graham was speaking the truth. The owner wanted him thrown off his radio show and escorted out of the building. Chicky and Pete's wanted him escorted out of his show and out of the restaurant because he was talking too much. Howard Eskin grabbed the woman in question and was frustrated with it because they were trying to get him out of there. And they used Howard as a scapegoat and fired him at WIP. Oh, this is too much. Hey, by the way, at the Ancilio show, Xander, I saw Bob posted something. I'm sorry, Bob, I couldn't get to it. Do me a favor. We got any supers during that time? I'll read them right now before we do the live read and take a time out here. Sills, ask Angelo what he thinks the owner's reception would be if the Eagles still played in the vet after sitting Barkley. The fan base at the link and the vet are completely different. I will text him that. Sorry about that, Bob. I promise you. Holy cow. Rat poison. All right. Xander's going to join us at the bottom of the hour here. Woo! Holy cow. Oh, by the way, Jason Kelsey wanted them to go for the record. We got two little tidbits. Eagles ruled Barkley, and the starting O-line is doubtful. Is there any chance they did that to leave open small chances to change their minds? I don't know what those people think. By the way, Jason Kelsey, got this. I'm going to tweet that out too. Kelsey told Angelo Cataldi, who said on our show today, Jason wanted to go for the record. Okay? What a birthday. Don't be afraid. Hey, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. You know what our show is with all you guys? Fearless. Fearless. So WIP and the Inquirer and the Eagles are lying and changing the narrative of us that Howard hollered at somebody and got fired. That's not the story. Big Sills here. Don't forget to go with our friends at BetUS. We have teamed up with our friends at BetUS this football season for the YouTube 150. That's right. Sign-up bonus up to $2K. Your second and third are 125%. Sign-up bonus is up to $2K. 200% in crypto if you like that. Also, make sure you log on to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. Fastest payouts in business. 24/7 personalized service, 365 days of the year. That's right. Live wagering on all major games. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. And do me a favor. Tell them Big Sil sent you.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.